You know, I never got the whole weapon reskins thing, so that's why I always say weapon reskins on TF2 have always seemed like a strange case to me. On the other hand, if you like how a weapon works but hate how it looks, it's nice to have another option to choose from. And I've always thought it'd be neat if cool looking weapons like the Maul had more of an identity than it's just the home wrecker but for rich people. So I took a large number of weapon reskins currently available in the game and gave them their own set of stats ranging from slightly modified side grade to the original to completely new weapon idea that's not balanced at all but tons of fun. For this video at least, I'm going to be modifying weapons that are relatively cheap and easily obtainable so it can keep the pay to win to a minimum. Basically, if it's under a key in backpack.tf where it's directly craftable, then it's going to be fair game. I'm also not going to be touching the original either of the Pyroland weapons or the Holy Mackerels, since even though they're technically reskins, they have enough unique functions that make them notably different from their counterparts. Alright, let's go. The 3-rune blade is a really cool looking weapon that just doesn't do it for me. Like sure, if you hit somebody with a sword in real life, they're probably going to bleed. But if you made the sword that's so poorly weighted that you're guaranteed to hit yourself if you miss your target, then probably be better off not even forging the sword in the first place and just hurling chunks of metal at people. So hear me out. We've already got Domo Knight, but we don't have Scout Knight. I've always thought it'd be really cool if this 3-rune blade made Scout function kind of like Demo Knight. You have a lot more health, better damage and range, and a slight movement buff in exchange for Scout taking his medieval roleplay very seriously and refusing to use any non-medieval weapons. Scout Knight would effectively be a side grade to Demo Knight by trading off health and shield resistances for better movement and second utility. And the 3-rune blade seems like the most obvious weapon change to make that a reality. The Holy Mackerel is notably different enough from stock because the kill feed tracking hits function. However, the unarmed combat does basically the same thing as the Holy Mackerel, so it does count as a reskin. The unarmed combat's basically a meme weapon, so I'm not too concerned about making it competitively viable or anything. But I do want to make it fulfill its role as a funny weapon by giving it funny stats. Since you're slapping people around, why not give it a knockback effect? The knockback wouldn't be much, but you'd probably get kills with this pretty well just by juggling people around. It'd be kind of annoying to fight against, but the idea of slapping people off a cliff is funny to me. So I personally like the changes regardless of how effective they may be. The Nostromo's Napalmer is technically not a reskin from stock because if you have the entire team set equipped, you do more damage against scouts who are wearing the entire alien set. But only like 5 people have ever gotten use out of that specific set, so I'm willing to make an exception. Most of the flamethrowers right now reward you for being as close to your target as possible, so I thought it'd be interesting to make a flamethrower that's the opposite, where it has increased flame distance but reverse fall off, so you have to keep your target at a maximum possible distance to get the most damage. The increased flame speed would also give the flames more range since their calculation is based on time in the air instead of distance. So it's essentially not as much as an ambush tool as much as it is a spacing tool. I have no idea how good or bad this would end up being because it's such an out there concept, but I think this would be more of a high skill ceiling flamethrower to add to the game. The Postal Pummeler has such a random design for an extinguisher reskin. Like sure, a mailbox as a melee is cool and all, but why make it a reskin to the extinguisher of all things? So if not an extinguisher reskin, what would a mailbox do? Mail has to travel to reach its destination. A lot of mail travels by air, and yeah, this is just a pyro market gardener. There's not much explanation with this one. The only thing in note is I added a deploy speed bonus to both negate the jetpack's long holster animation and to give you more time to hit targets with the detonator's smaller jumps. Other than that, I feel like pyro could use a market gardener, and these are stats that would be a lot of fun in TF2. Other than that, I feel like pyro could use a market gardener, and these are stats that would be a lot of fun in TF2. And it would make it doubly function by making the mailbox theme make more sense. The Maul is a really cool looking weapon that ends up being boring because of its stats. Because of how futuristic this thing looks, I expect it to do something more high tech than just being a building smasher. So what if we inverted the home wrecker's damage against buildings to provide buffs to friendly buildings instead? What I'm thinking for the Maul is that you'd be able to whack friendly buildings to make them operate a little bit faster. That means sentries would fire faster, dispensers would regenerate ammo and heal faster, and teleporters would take a little bit less time to recharge. This is of course a significant buff to engineers. So just to make it a bit harder to keep buildings overclocked, the firing speed penalty would probably be necessary. Hybrid. The bootlegger and the wee booties are 2 weapons that only exist because of their item sets. But even though the wee booties are consistent with its set, the bootlegger doesn't really make sense in its context. because its set doesn't really work well with any of the shields. So what if we made it work with sticky jumping? The new bootleg would effectively be a combination between the man-treads and the gunboats. But the demo man instead of the soldier, I don't think this really needs that much explanation since there are similar weapons in the game that you can use as an example. If you would want to imagine how these would work, but having the bootlegger be demo man's gunboats would both make a lot of sense and appease a lot of community members. So I think that's a good route to take with them. So then what would the Scottish handshake be since it's part of the same set as the bootlegger? Yeah, it's a demo man market gardener. Pretty much copy and pasted from Soldier. There are way too many reasons why this makes sense, and I'm not the first nor last to come up with this idea. But I will get it out there that I thought about this change years ago before it became popularized. So yay for being a hipster, I guess. The Nessie's 9-iron makes no sense because it completely ignores its source material. In the obscure indie game called Golf, you don't use golf clubs as swords, even though it'd probably make the sport much more entertaining to watch. Golf clubs are used to hit a ball to make it go flying in the air, so the Nessie's 9-iron should be able to hit players to make them go flying in the air. Basically, I'm changing this from an eyelander that can collect heads to a knockback-based sword that also uses a Sandman projectile built in. Demo Knight option that has a launchable projectile would make for a very unique playstyle, since even though you're sacrificing a big chunk of your damage, the projectile range and ability to control what players are launched in would make this weapon pair incredibly well with hazard-heavy maps. This one is definitely out there as far as the stats go. The fish cake
Dorime, interrimo ad appare dorime.
is a heavy lunchbox that for whatever reason is way more obscure than it really deserves to be. Like, I'm pretty sure I had 1,000 hours in TF2 before I even realized that this existed. So to aid weapons that have become victims of obscurity, we should give this poor fish a reason to be used. My thought with the fish cake is that instead of granting heavy max health to make further fights go better, it should instead grant him a passive health regeneration over the course of 30 seconds, which will also accomplish something similar. 100 health instantly and 8 health per second makes this heal a total of 340 HP, but it does give it back to you slowly, meaning that you have some passive regen during your next combat. Next up is the Apoco Fists, which are way too cool looking to be just a reskin of the stock fists.
Punch him so hard he explodes!
The cosmetic gib on kill stats a pretty good base for a lot of interesting weapon ideas, but I think explosions are probably the most fun way to take that. My thought with this one is that every time you hit someone, you create an explosion similar to how the cable works.
These nuts!
However, instead of just making the first hit being a super powerful explosion, you would create many explosions on every hit that would do about 30 damage or so and some knockback to both the heavy and whoever he's hitting. This would coincidentally also give the heavy the ability to punch walls to climb them. Which probably wouldn't do a ton for you.
Come on over here. No, you flipped me off. Come on, coward. No. Come on. You're not an intellectual. You're a fake and a fraud.
The Opera Hand is a scam. This is supposed to be the op, but ported to TF2, so why in the world can't I one-shot people by hitting them in the chest? Well, I guess that would cause balance issues, so we'll just make it accurate in the next best way. I think the most interesting stat we can port over from the real op would be the double scoping mechanic that a lot of CSGO rifles have.
Oh, hell no! By increasing that time delay between scoping in and being able to deal that critical hit headshot. Say, increase it to something like half a second to 0.8 seconds. Enough.
I'm getting trolled. There's no way he's serious. People agree with this? Hey guys, back again on the MGE server. My friend Hell's Redeemer coded a script so when we press a button, it scopes in, then waits around 800 milliseconds before automatically shooting. We're gonna see if this makes sniper versus sniper more interesting and not totally reliant on second scoping, as Zesty says verbatim. Let's go.
Hi, how are you?
We would also have to port over the mechanic that scoping with it makes you slow as hell. But I feel like that'd be a worthy trade-off. This would make the AWP a better rifle for holding longer angles, but double zooming can also hurt you sometimes because it makes it take longer to unscope, so I don't think it would completely surpass the sniper rifle in terms of utility. The fortified compound is another weapon that's a huge missed opportunity, but they chose to just make it a reskin. No, we're fixing this today. Since compound bows are known for how much power they can put behind arrows, I was trying to think of ways to make this thing feel like a heavy hitter, without directly increasing the damage. I think the best that I could come up with is making this bow a version of the Machina that takes a little bit longer to fully charge. After all, compound bowstrings take a ton of force to draw and Sniper's not the strongest guy out there, so it makes sense that the arrow would take longer to be pulled back all the way. The added projectile might be a little overkill, but again, I wanted to make the compound feel like there's some force behind it. The added projectile speed might be a little bit overkill, so let me know what you think of these stats in particular. I'm kind of curious to see how you'd think this would turn out. The Sharp Dresser is another weapon that commits the biggest sins a reskin can. It looks way too cool for a reskin and it doesn't respect its source material at all. Then again, what do you even do in Assassin's Creed? I mean, you like jump off rooftops to assassinate people? Yeah, why not?
You sure about that?
Are you sure about
that? That's why? You sure it wasn't because after the thing that happened to me, no one could look at me without dying laughing? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass out.
Easier to trick stab but harder to chain stab. Would these stats actually be useful at all on Spy? I have no idea, but this weapon seems like it'd be a lot of fun to use, so I'll keep it. The Wonga Prick is in the same position as the Fish Cake. It's a reskin of a bad weapon that doesn't really have any reason to exist in the first place.
Wow, man. Damn.
I was going to make up something about how I thought of these stats.
With my mug on me.
Oh, DD. Oh, what it is? Oh, DD. What it is?
Based on traditional
Blasphemy!
acupuncture or voodoo
Blasphemy!
rituals or some other BS.
Blasphemy!
But I really just saw the skull on the weapon and thought this would be funny. You know, I never got the whole weapon reskins thing, so that's why I always say weapon reskins on TF2 have always seemed like a strange case.
That's it? That's all of it. That's it. That's it. That's all there is. That's it. That's all there is. No. I get it. I get it. You're lazy. You don't want to do more. Okay. Really? But really though, that's it? Like, not even a morsel more? Really? Just not like a little bit more? Like, just a tiny bit more? That's it? That's it? Who's at my door?
Hey,
Hello?
don't worry. I'm not gonna hurt you. I have an offer for you. One I don't think you can refuse.
Hi there. I'm Dr. Gary Gregory, and this is her Greg. You'll only ever find one of this store right here in Drisking, Missouri. Anyways, let's go take a look around now, shall we? No. You stay. Hey guys, Gregory here. Get that guy! He's an imposter! Oh, you probably want to see the store, huh? Come with me. We here at Greg really value new employees. That is why we do everything in our power to give them the best benefits, such as this child enrichment center. It's a great method to deter responsibility for the little ones. Because of how fulfilling the Child Enrichment Center is, we are not comfortable calling it a daycare. For our most satisfactory employees, we offer exclusive benefits. Benefits such as one and only Dick and Dave's Wild Ride. Now, even though fun is encouraged, employees are obliged to follow the rules hence stated in their employee commitment document. The motion sensor detects unwanted movement, and we are not liable for what Hat Kid Pimp deems a worthy punishment. We've heard you. We've heard that we don't sell enough product. Well, we're finally doing something about it. We are currently working on opening the Mattress Center. Now, it is in its beta form, but when it's done, we will have great product. So, you asked me what we sell here at Greg and why it's good? Well, read the sign, dumb shit. It's home solutions. Furniture and firearms as God intended. We specialize in helping the customer decide what they want instead of shoving communist propaganda down their throat. No, I will not pay my taxes, you Marxists. You asked me what we sell here at Greg. Well, unfortunately, the truth is a little hard to hear. They sell children, frequently. My children. As you can see here, my wife works very hard to make these children. It's very taxing on our marriage. I don't know if it'll last another year. But anyways, you can buy my brother right here. Please don't. I love him. My brother! We have a lot of useful everyday purchases, like this LG HD TV 42-inch empty water can. Very useful. We have a lot more stuff, I promise. We have an excellent security system to ensure that you and our merchandise is safe. Let's see how our valued customers view their shopping experience at, one sec,
One of the men kidnapped me. I haven't left this room in years.
Me too. What do you think, Mr. Eyeball, sir? So, come on down to, Greg. for a great time and even better deals. This is what I created. I let my greed, my desire for money manifest itself into this world. But by the end, I have nothing to show for it but a labyrinth devised by the icon of my greed to keep me here. I was meant to live the American dream, but yet now I live its nightmare. I pray to anything to spare me, but I know the depths have already claimed me.